Well, let's discuss this further with Arsalan Iftikhar in Washington. He's an international human rights lawyer and the founder of the MuslimGuide.com. He's also the global managing editor of the Crescent Post. Thanks so much for being with us. How have you been gauging Muslim reaction to the death of bin Laden in the US?
Well, I think that the response of American Muslims and hundreds of millions of Muslims around the world has been one of relief. You know, here is a man, here is a terrorist who, for many non-Muslims and Americans, has come to sadly represent Muslims. And I think that, you know, the entire human race can sleep a little bit easier tonight knowing that the snake's head of Al-Qaeda has been cut off.
Do you think it'll reduce the spike in the hate wave, which often seems to flare at times of conflict involving the US and the Muslim world?
Well, you know, there has been an increase in Islamophobia and anti-Muslim rhetoric here in the United States over the last 10 years since September 11th. And even today, you know, after President Obama announced the death of Osama bin Laden, there was an American mosque in Portland, Maine, that had graffiti sprayed outside of it which said, "Osama today, Islam tomorrow." And so, you know, we do have a long way to go in order to ameliorate and you know, continue to build bridges of understanding between people of different races, religions, and socioeconomic statuses.
But why is that? Some suggest perhaps the Muslim community in America is not as vocal as it should be.
Well, I think that, you know, for people like myself and hundreds and thousands of American Muslims who have essentially dedicated our lives since the tragedy of September 11th to speak out against criminal terrorists like Osama bin Laden on television networks like Al-Jazeera, CNN, BBC World News, to tell people that what he is doing is not actually Islamic and is, you know, completely against any sort of normative Muslim ethical values. You know, we are continuing to try and shatter the stereotypes that one terrorist cave dweller has sadly placed upon us for the last 10 years.
Many Muslims complained after 9/11 that they kind of felt the brunt of what they called civil liberty violations following 9/11. Now, you're also a human rights lawyer. Thinking in the bigger picture of Muslims and non-Muslims in America, do you think that his death will lead to some sort of restoration of civil liberties, which have, in the opinion of some, been eroded in the US since 9/11?
Well, I think it's one small step towards that, Sammy. I think what's important to keep in mind is the post-9/11, you know, American civil rights movement that we've seen is really just the next chapter in a long line of American civil rights movements, you know, starting with German and Italian Americans after World War I, Japanese Americans after World War II, and the continuing African American civil rights movement from the 1960s. And so we see this as just part and parcel of the American civil rights history of the United States, and we hope to continue to be contributing members of society.
Well, it's good to talk to you. Thanks so much for your thoughts and observations. Iftikhar from Washington, D.C.